Okay, we're back now. We're going to go through the grading rubric that will be applied to the marketing plan portion of your business plan. And by the end of this week, you will have at that point 3 weeks to get the draft in of your marketing plan. Now, what I've done, I've uploaded the rubric that will be used for the full grading of the marketing plan. And done a little calculation here. The full grading is worth 125 points, and the draft is worth 50 points, and so the draft is worth roughly 40% of what the full the full allotment of points is going to be in 3 weeks from now. That'll be the draft, and then your full plan will be it's about 5 or 6 weeks. I don't remember. I don't have the syllabus in front of me, but the full plan will be due in about 5 to 6 weeks after the draft is due. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, what I've done is I've just shown the requirements for the full plan. But the expectation is not for you to be all the way there in 3 weeks from now. Okay. Now, at the same time, it's not to say that you need to be exactly 40% of the way complete, because it's 40% of the full plan's points. But you should be somewhere around around that level of completion, approximately 40% completed. What I do expect, and this, I'm not going to say you've got to have this, this, and this. I'm going to show you. You'll see here on the grading rubric what things are required at the end of or with the final marketing plan, and you may choose to go ahead and do it almost to completion, get some feedback on it, and just so you can revise a very small amount instead of having to guess on the other 60%. For the final marketing plan, if you want to do that, that's fine. I applaud you for that. That's great. But these things do need to be included, and there are a lot of things that we've already talked about. Actually, almost everything we've already talked about up till this point. After the completion of this week, chapter 10, you will have covered the majority of things. There's one of the 4Ps that's not covered until chapter 11, and we won't be doing that until a few weeks down the road. It will be before the completion of your final plan, but not before. I don't believe that one will be covered before the completion of the marketing plan draft. So I understand if you don't have that covered, and that is the place or placement component of the plan. That's really just, as you'll see on the rubric, the distribution. How do you plan to get your product or service into the hands of of consumers? Product or service into the hands of consumers, and then your location. Talk about what made you decide what made you decide on the location that you ultimately chose. Was it because it's close to home? Was it because there is a large base of potential customers within a 20-mile radius? Is it because you were able to find cheap rent? Whatever it is, it's not necessarily a wrong answer, but you need to justify, as I've said in other sessions, justify, document, footnote everything, give reasons why you're doing it. Don't just say, because you see an item listed here under place and placement. How do you plan to get your product service in the hands of your customers? Well, we're going to fly to Arkansas and make a pitch to Walmart, and we're going to sell it in Walmart stores, and that's the end of it. I don't want a 2 sentence explanation. Well, what makes you really feel like you can that the purchasing agents, purchasing managers at Walmart are even going to listen to you? Do you have some insight into getting in with them? All of these things kind of work together. Your competitive advantage over what they're offering currently, you're going to have all your ducks in a row. All your I's dotted, T's crossed. I hate using cliches like that or old sayings, but in this case, it is absolutely true. You can't just make a statement that something's going to happen or that you're going to do something and that's the end of it. One or two sentences is not going to get it here. You've got to have an explanation. You've got to back it up with facts. And if you do not, then you will not receive the highest possible score. I'll give you an example of how I'm going to grade this, okay? Um, excuse me. For example, we're talking about place and placement section, and you'll see that's on line 14 of the spreadsheet. There's two parts to that, the distribution and the location. Each of those is worth 10 points. Now, this is 10 points of the final full marketing plan portion of your business plan. Okay, so obviously for this first go around, if the draft is worth 40% of that, then the most you can get would be 4 out of that 10 for the draft. All right, so what is going to score a 4? Well, you scroll all the way up to the top and you see that to the far right there in the column I, that's top quality. That is a brief explanation of what is going to, and it's across the board, across every category here, what is going to receive a the highest score possible. In this case, a 4. Once you get your final plan done, a 10, and that is category. Well, excuse me. Let me back up a little bit. When the final plan is done, this is what will receive a 10 in this case, and that is category information is ready to be fully implemented into the overall plan. The content is expected to contribute significantly to a positive outcome. So how do you get to that point? I understand that you can't have 40% of something done, 40% of a full idea done in 3 weeks from now, because some things may develop over time, and you add to, you may take away from. So really, what I'm looking for is the framework. The setup of your plan in Microsoft Word or whatever other program that you choose to use. The setup of it to show me how you're going to get to this top quality category. All right. If I can see indication that you're headed in the right direction for each of these, now you don't have to have it fully defined. If you do, that's great. You're even more likely to get the 4 points initially on the draft, but certainly expect some feedback. The more you have, the more likely you're going to get that high score on the draft. You're going to get some feedback, and you'll be in a better position to get an even higher score for the larger point quantity, the full marketing plan. The submission of that one. So it's up to you as to how much you submit, but what I'm looking for is our outlines, text and information about how what it is that you've got in place now that's going to lead to this quality answer for the full plan. So I hope, I'm rambling on, but I hope that makes sense. I do suggest that you look through some of the sample plans that I posted in the week 1 lessons, and I'm going to pull a few of those up here and kind of go through some of the things in their marketing plan portion that I liked. The first one that I'm looking at here, and these aren't necessarily in order, it's just the way I've got them pulled up here, is the Serenity Spa. It's a Word document. Serenity Spa. There is a on page, let's see, what page is this? Sorry, my computer's acting up. Give me just a moment. Okay, this appears to be page 8, section 3.2, the product description. Now they put in there some logos and names. It appears to be of products that they will be selling within the spa. I'm not a spa goer, but I assume that as with many businesses, the name brands are important, and that could be something that attracts someone to one spa over another. And so it's important to include that in your business plan. Graphics. Such as this, the logo, the name of a company, kind of helps add to the overall appeal. It looks nice, your business plan, instead of just being straight, type throughout the whole plan. Breaks up the monotony a little bit. So that's nice the way that they describe the products there. Um, Also, they kind of have a reference guide. I don't know if that's on every page. I thought I remember seeing that several places. Yeah, at the top right, I don't know exactly where it starts, but I see it there on page 8, page 7, page 8, and page 9 at least. At the top right of the page, they got a little box there that's kind of a guide to tell you which of their target markets this one applies to. Now I'm not telling you need to do this also. Again, it kind of breaks up and makes it look nice. It helps you. It helps the reader follow and understand which products that they expect to push to certain target markets or market segments. Okay, they've got a section on pricing. And what I like about this one is that they've got a table there. And again, not everything you see is going to be applicable or appropriate for every business plan. You kind of have to decide. Now, again, thinking back, keep in mind that this plan is twofold. Number one, it serves as a guide for you. It really needs to help you. Should you choose to take this business idea, this business plan, and create a business out of it, it serves as a guide for you to kind of quickly visualize how you compare, how things stack up. And in this case, how you compare to your competitors, this spa. The other thing is that the use of a business plan, as we've talked before, is it's for outside investors, and bankers being an investor. They would make it a decision about giving you money the same way an investor would. And so this is as much for your benefit as it is for an outside viewer of your plan. So the information contained here needs to be information that you want to know yourself, and that's what they've done here. That's what this person that put together this business plan has done. They've gathered lots of information. This is from their data research, and this shows me that component can be checked off. And if this was yours, you would you need to document where you got it from. Did you make calls? Did you pick up flyers? Somewhere that told about the pricing of their services. Did you poll their customers as they came out of the facility? How did you get this information? Document that in your research section. And putting together a table like this can be very nice. Now you can see the very first column that's listed there is for this spa, the Serenity Spa, and they're not necessarily the low price leader. You don't have to be. That doesn't have to be your hook or your pull. You can be the top of the line, the top quality service provider, as long and with that the top dollar. You can command the top dollar for that. You need to again document that, justify that. Why? What is your competitive advantage? If you're charging more, what is it that justifies you charging more? And a table like this helps the reader easily visualize the difference between the competition and what you have to offer, and then they can quickly drop down to the section where it talks about competitive advantage, and you'll back up why a customer would choose you over your spa over another spa. Okay, so that's really good. Let's scroll down and see if there were any other notes that I made here. Partners, if you have distribution channels that are going to be helping you by way of sending sending clients or customers to you, then you may have a partner section like they have here on page 10. I believe it's page 10. Yeah. Certainly list those out would be good. Whatever your distribution channel is, that of you getting information out, or getting how you're going to get the word out to your clients, or if others are assisting you in directing clients, customers to you, those need to be noted. Okay. Uh, Page 11 talks about the industry as a whole, and in some cases that's a part of the marketing plan. Sometimes that's a section that comes just prior to the marketing plan. However you choose to incorporate that is fine, as long as it's in the final plan. And let me see if I had a place for that. I don't know that I had a description of the industry necessarily. No, not in the marketing plan. If you choose to do it, that's fine. It's you're not going to receive points for it. For you, logistically, if it makes sense for it to fit in here, go ahead and do it. Great. You're not going to be counted. You're certainly not going to be counted off for structuring it that way, for setting it up that way. Okay. All right. Let me get back to these here. See where we are on time. Okay. Scroll down. We're still on Serenity Spa. If there's anything else, market. Sorry. The day spa industry. Yeah, this talks about the opportunity in the template that I loaded for you. This is a section that I think, if I remember correctly, comes just before the marketing section. It kind of defines what your opportunity is based on broad market research. Okay, it does talk about competition here. We didn't. Well, no, we did define that to some extent. Yes, as needing to be defined in your marketing plan, with regards to how you have a competitive advantage over these. And they've done a nice job of listing this out. They probably could have gone a little bit further, gone into a little more detail about with some of their information, maybe about some of the qualifications of their staff. Could be, if you can find that information out, it would be great. It's not always possible. And then on page 17, you'll see that they do have a section set aside for their competitive advantage, and then they start into their company overview and revenue. Now, you as a part of your marketing plan, you need to make some estimates, but it doesn't need to be just pulling numbers out of the air. I hope to sell 1,000 of whatever it is every year that you have to offer. Well, okay, that's great. Where did that number come from? It needs to come from your industry analysis, and an analysis of your competition, the market in which you're selling that, the region, or the city, or if you plan on selling nationwide. All these things come into play when you're making estimates about what you really feel like you can sell. And then, I'll tell you this also. I wouldn't go into it unless you're already in business. I would not put in my plan that in month number 1 I'm going to sell the same number of units of whatever that you're going to be selling in month number 24. It's going to take you some time to get up to speed and get your name out there. And so in a lot of cases, businesses go months with no sales, or a very light sales volume, as they're working on getting their name out there with regards to what they do. So I'm not going to say I'm going to count off for that, but it won't be looked upon favorably, I'll tell you that. So be careful about being too ambitious with your goals. With your goals for sales and income, projected sales in the marketing section there. Okay, let me close this one out, and we're going to look at another plan. Oh, I hope I didn't close the whole thing. Okay. This next one is LiverQuest LLC. LiverQuest LLC, and They too have a market analysis on page 7, which is not exactly a part of our marketing plan. You certainly, like I said, you can choose to incorporate that there. And they have a nice table that they've included, done some research again about what the expectations are for certain types of cirrhosis. I guess that's for treatment of cirrhosis. I'm not really sure. I'm not in that world, so I don't fully understand that. Again, talks about the opportunities, and then they go into the competition of what else is out there. Trying to remember what all I wanted to point out here. I think it was mainly the tables that they used. They had a couple, one table that was almost a full page, and one that was just a few lines. And then here's another one on page 9. It's a graphic about the scroll down too far. Milestone timeline and costs. And so something like this again helps to break up the monotonous look of a business plan, and can help because readers of the plans grasp things in different ways, and you may state it in a text format in another part of the plan, but by showing a graphic like this that's on page 13 of their plan, it helps certain readers to better visualize what it is that you are trying to get across, the message you're trying to get across. They talk about the certain, well, as this graphic says, milestones along the way. That is part of their marketing. They can't start production. Let's say this was a new drug that they were coming out with. They couldn't start production of it until they had tested it in certain ways, and so they have certain benchmark dates that they have to get to, and so those would be included here. And that's not exactly what they're not testing a drug here, but more of a device, from what I understood. They would show those benchmark dates, and what was they hope to accomplish by each date. And depending on your business, something like this may be appropriate. So keep that in mind. Okay. All right. That's all for this plan. There's 2 others we want to look at real quickly. This one is called Ultimate Keychains. Ultimate Keychains. And again, these are all in the sample business plans link that was in that I put in the week 1 material on Blackboard. So look there, and they're different file formats, so you may have to open like a zip file or something, but you should ultimately be able to get them into a Microsoft Word format. This one, and again, these are full plans. These are relatively short by some standards. Some of them are in the neighborhood of 20. This one's 23 pages. That's relatively short. I've personally put together business plans that are in the 40-page range, and seen others that are in the 60-page. I think 60 pages may be getting a little long, but depending on if you double space, your font size and whatnot, it can get very lengthy. One thing that does add pages to it is and I'm sorry for the motion of the camera whenever I'm keying down on my laptop here. It moves around a bit, so I apologize for that. Listen more than you look. You won't get dizzy. The footnotes, the documentation of what you're stating, the facts that hopefully they're facts that you're stating, the reasoning behind why you've chosen to go a certain direction, or to not do certain things. That documentation, those footnotes, can take up a fourth to a third of a page at a time, and so that can add many pages, 5 or more pages potentially to a plan, and so that can stretch it out and make your total page count longer. Okay, on the Ultimate Keychain, their marketing plan begins on page 11. Let me scroll down there to the market opportunity, and they have incorporated that in here. The industry as a whole, it appears, I believe. Yeah. Okay. And one thing that they've done here, I see right off, when you have major section changes, it's cleaner, it's neater if you start those on a new page. And if you're not sure how to, if you don't want to just hit enter a bunch of times until you get down there, if you hold down the control and enter buttons, that will immediately shift you down to a new page to start that. So keep that in mind. It looks neater when you have clean breaks in those different major sections. Okay. All right. They talk here about their competition. There's a chart right before that talks about. It appears to be. Oh, this is an analysis of. It says overview of capabilities. It looks like a variety of distributors that they are considering using or are already using, and so something like that could be useful, again, depending on your business. You always want to make sure that any tables, charts, graphs are clearly understood, what they reference back to in other sections. Put table numbers. Table 3.1, 1.6, whatever it is, so that when someone's reading up in the body of the business plan, uh, that's especially important whenever a table, you should have that reference on the same page that your table is located. You should always do that. But there's occasion when that's not the case, and then it's really confusing. You have to flipping back and forth between pages, trying to find where you're referencing a table or a graphic. That's it doesn't make it easy for the reader. They may have a negative feeling because of that about your plan. So you don't want that to those negative feelings to be there. So do everything you can to make it easy for the reader. All right, let's see what else they had here that was really good. Scrolling through. Market analysis, market opportunities on page 15 and 16. Their marketing strategy is at page 18 and 19. And if you have in our text, it talked about the life cycle of products. This is not exactly the same thing. They've got a development cycle. It's a little different. Let's see, what do they reminder here? Okay, just talking about the different phases of their company. So similar to what we talked about for it, but it was for a single product. The life cycle of a product. They're talking more about the business as a whole, how they would progress. Oh, missed something here. Okay. Risks and their exit strategy, that starts entirely different topics. Those are things that are different sections of the plan as far as we're concerned, and we're not going to spend any time on those here. Okay, and let's go to the last plan that I had pulled up, and this is called Dual Learning Chair, I believe was the name of the file. The Dual Learning Chair. And let me find where their marketing section is located. Okay, page 11 here, and I bet you they're not. Nope, they're not. I was hoping for them to be able to do the control and click that section in the table of contents and be able to skip over it. Something I've seen, and this is me personally, I look for page numbers at the bottom of a page, and I was scrolling through quickly trying to find page 11, and I'm looking at the bottom of the pages here, and it's actually at the top of the page. It says here, the page I'm on here, page 7 of 22. That's fine to do, page whatever of the total number of pages you have, but generally that should be at the bottom and centered at the bottom. Okay. Almost okay. Page 11 here. I think I'm on 11 now. Yeah. Okay. Marketing strategies. Um, what I liked about this one was their spacing in between the different sections and subsections, and so that it makes it look nice, clean, crisp. So pay attention to that. Um, Talk about their competition. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time on your competition, but you want enough in there for it to be shown to the potential investors that you are aware of what else is out there. You don't necessarily need to know every single detail about their business, but you need to know enough so that you can compete well. Okay. And let's see here. Actually, I spent quite a bit of space on that. Okay, their competitive analysis did not start until page 18, so they spent a lot of time talking about the competition, and not a lot of time, from what I could tell. I thought I remembered seeing more to it than this about their marketing. Maybe it was within each of the explanations of the competition there as to how they stacked up better and what they wanted to do, but it was not. They did not have a section broken out explicitly, and I would prefer that it be done that way as opposed to giving a business competitor's name and then going into all of the explanation about how you're better or different and how you're going to compete with them. That needs to be done on a broader scale, not just on a one-by-one basis, unless you only have one single competitor, which that's not usually the case. So they really could have done a better job in that regard here. So certainly keep that in mind when you get ready to put together your plan. Okay, close out of this one. Again, there are no hard and fast rules about what is required for this draft that's coming up in about a little over 3 weeks. But that being said, you can't just turn in, as I said earlier, one sentence explanation of define your product or service. That's not going to cut it for your draft, because that really gives me an indication that your final product is only going to be about 2.5 times what you submit there. So if you do that for each of these, you've got just a few sentences, or 1 or 2 sentences for each of these categories. That's not going to take up a lot of space. Now, it's not space that makes a good plan. It's time, thought, effort that goes into your plan, but that comes through in the certainly the quantity, but also the quality of what you put on paper. And so I want this to be something that is beneficial to you, and also as a way to get you some extra points. This should be fairly. I'm hoping this is fairly simple. I'm not going to grade harshly on this, unless you just it's obvious that you just put no time into it. You did this on Thursday night before it was due on Friday. You spent an hour on it, maybe, if even an hour, and threw something together just to get some points. It's going to be obvious. It's going to come through in your work, and you won't receive a high score for it. So start now. Don't wait until the week of. Certainly don't wait until the night before. Go ahead and start now. At this point, with the exception of chapter 11. We've covered all the chapters 9, 12, and 10 that are primarily going to be incorporated into the marketing plan portion. And so, that, and then any outside videos that you want to do on your own that you feel would be helpful. There are a ton of videos out there. Don't have time. I don't have time to search and find them all, and I'm sure you don't either. You've got other things you have to do. But there are good videos to help you. The plans that I've mentioned here, and there's a few others that we didn't go through. Reference those. There are other plans that you can find, other full plans that you can find by doing a web search. So I would encourage you to go through those activities and make this a top quality project. As I said earlier, it is something that should be fairly easy to achieve a very high score on, both on the on the draft as well as the final product. So we'll drop it here because you do have a few other videos that I want you to review. Since we only have one chapter that we're covering this week, we have two session times that we need to fill. I've got some other videos that I want you to watch that go along with some of the parts in chapter 10. So spend some time doing that. All right.